These steaks, A5 Wagyu, F1 Wagyu Cross, and the USDA Prime, they're all about the same thickness. These two here were frozen. This one was fresh and then froze for a few days. So we're trying to do this as equal as we can. The reason why I haven't salted these in advance is because I don't know what the salt retention was going to be if you salted them, how much they would pull it in with the really different marbling profiles that you have. So I'm just going to go ahead and I'm going to salt these guys up very equal. So it's just going to be just an equal salting. Now, one thing I did, which I do very differently, which all you haters out there are going to be chiming in on, I actually put these guys in the freezer and I chilled them down to a core temperature where I'm right at the freeze line on these at 33, 34 degrees. The reason why I'm doing that, the science behind why I do this in my mind is because of I do not want to reverse sear because of the fat rendering part of this. I want that internal fat marbling, all this marbling that you see inside, I want that to render when this is resting. While it's resting, I want that fat to render down and work its way through the muscle profile, the actual meat part, so that when I cut it, it's very moist and I'm getting all that rendered fat in a bite. Rather than on a reverse sear, that stuff's going to start to, you're starting out at 75, 80 degrees room temperature, you're going onto a grill, you're searing it, then that sear stands and then you put it in the oven and it starts to go and all that fat's rendering out, you get all that juice. You'll see when we let these steaks stand, they'll bleed like a son of a gun as they stand for that 10 minutes. So we're going to go on to the grill. Because of I put these in the freezer, you can go higher heat for longer. But once they start to cook and that fat starts to render, you're gonna see me moving these steaks a whole bunch. And I'm gonna be turning them over and I'm gonna be moving them. I'll probably be 30, 40 seconds aside, roll them over and move them because I don't want that direct flame hitting them too much and really getting that fat to render the wrong way. I wanna get a sear and I don't want these things to burn from flame. I'm gonna roll this little guy here over. Okay, so you can really start to see the difference in these three steaks. This Wagyu is rendering down really wet. This one here isn't as wet. And the USDA Prime just doesn't have the marbling to really give that super wet look. It's just a much drier steak because of the intermuscular marbling. That's where our flavor is. Now, this thing's gonna start to get really lucid and loose because it's Wagyu, and once that fat starts rendering, boy, it renders quick. Off. Come off. We are going to come off. Hey guys, so we're in the last stage. It was really hard to get people to come out and do this taste test. I got Mark Clavelli, who's a barbecue aficionado, and Morgan's just a food aficionado. He's just a pig who likes to eat. But I wanted them to try these and see. We were going to try and do this blind, but the problem is you can totally see the difference. So they've already identified which one's which, but they haven't tried it. So guys, go ahead and try it. Give your honest opinion of how it is.
Down here.
Yeah, very good. Just the salt flavor is subtle, not real strong. You can definitely taste the meat. Has the texture of most of the ribeyes I'm used to eating. Very good.
So yeah, the first one was definitely nice and tender, but I'm definitely noticing a difference in tenderness coming over to this one here. I mean, everything's good so far, obviously, but this one here's what I want to try.
And that's the oh my god. Like, you just can't even compare.
Everything I expected and more.
Is it any good?
Yeah,
Mark, have you ever had A5 Japanese
I've
Wagyu?
never had A5 Wagyu, so this is the first time.
Wow.
It's the texture. You know, it's
But
so
there's
smooth
there's a
and
distinct flavor profile in it.
It's subtle. It's really good and the texture is super smooth, not overpowering in any way. Just a little bit of salt is great. Man, that is good.
Yeah, there's nothing that I would change as far as seasoning on that steak. That's like the only way that I would eat that. It is amazing. Hard to describe what the actual difference is, but it's so tender, but it's so juicy and full of flavor.
But as you bite into it, that fat's blowing up in your mouth, and you're just getting this smooth, silky flavor profile that comes through as that stuff, as those pockets of fat just blow up.
It's all intertwined. You don't have like.
Now, this would be a little bit better because we're filming and setting up and all that. It's cooled off. When this stuff's right when you cut it, it's bam, like. But it's still